All right, so today we're going to tackle a huge question. How do you actually go from 0 to 1 million? And spoiler alert, it's not about luck, it's about knowledge. Let's break down the exact steps to turn that financial potential you have into a reality. Financial mentor Mark Tilbury really hits the nail on the head with this one. He says the main difference between someone making a minimum wage and a millionaire isn't some secret inheritance or just dumb luck. Nope, it's knowledge. And today, we're going to share that knowledge with you.
Every journey has a starting point, right? For this one, we're going to follow a guy named Tommy, and his story is just a perfect example of how the very first step to changing your bank account is changing your mindset.
Have you ever felt like this? At 23, Tommy was wrestling with that classic feeling of being completely stuck, totally unsure about his path, and just not feeling good enough. It's that feeling that can just completely paralyze you, especially when it comes to money. So let's be real about where Tommy was starting. We're talking unemployed, scraping by on about $400 a month from odd jobs here and there, and living at home with absolutely zero savings. He was literally starting from square one. But this, right here, is where the transformation begins. So what's the end game? Look, the goal here isn't to be the richest person on the planet. It's about getting to a place of financial freedom. The freedom to make your own choices, to feel secure, and to live life on your terms, not just constantly chasing a paycheck. Okay, so you've got the mindset down. What's the next move? Well, you've got to build a solid financial base. And the best part is these first steps are things literally anyone can do, no matter what your starting line looks like. All right, this first one might sound a little backward, but stick with me. The rule is don't try to look rich. See, truly wealthy people often live way below their means. They're not blowing their money on designer gear to impress people. Instead, they're buying assets, things that actually grow in value over time. But this brings up a super common problem, especially for young people. It's awesome to have no debt, that's great, but with no credit history, it's almost impossible to get a loan for those big life goals, like buying a house. So how do you crack that code? Well, the answer is actually way simpler and safer than you might think. It's just 3 steps. First, get a credit card. Second, just use it for small, planned purchases you were already going to buy anyway, like gas or groceries. And third, and this is the absolute key, pay it off in full every single month. That proves you're responsible and builds that vital foundation for your future. Okay, mindset? Check. Financial foundations? Check. Now, let's get to the really fun part. Taking all this theory and putting it into practice with a real-world investment experiment. So to get things rolling, Mark gives Tommy $800, but this isn't just free money. Think of it as a challenge, a test to see if a complete beginner could take a small chunk of cash and actually make it grow. So the big question is, how did he do? A total beginner in just a month and a half? The results? Well, they might just blow you away. Okay, get ready for this. The results were, honestly, incredible. First, a solid 3.4% from a safe S&P 500 fund. That's your steady foundation. Then, he saw some huge wins on tech stocks, betting on innovation with Tesla and Google. But the real jaw-dropper? Crypto. A massive 68% return. And this right here shows you the power of a mixed portfolio, balancing your safe bets with some high-risk, high-reward plays. So, you add all that up, and what do you get? Tommy walked away with a profit of $241. And here's the best part, this was 100% passive income. He didn't have to clock in or do any active work for it. But honestly, this is my favorite part of the whole experiment. Get this, the student actually beat the teacher. In that same time frame, Mark, the seasoned expert, made $108 on his own investments. Tommy? He more than doubled that. What a powerful lesson, right? It just proves you don't have to be some Wall Street genius to get started and actually do really well. Okay, making money while you sleep is awesome, but it's only one piece of the puzzle. To really put your wealth building into overdrive, you gotta boost your active income. We're talking about getting a job, yeah, but even more important, building something that's truly yours. Speaking of jobs, here is a killer tip for your next interview. A real game changer. At the end, when they ask if you have any questions, you ask them this. It just screams confidence, shows you're ready to learn, and makes you totally memorable. Look, a job is great for that steady paycheck, but a side hustle, that's where you build an asset you actually own and control. For a creative guy like Tommy, that meant diving into his passion, making these amazing, high-quality cosplay helmets. That's how you turn a hobby into a real business. But how do you figure out if your side hustle idea is actually any good? Here's a pro tip. Don't just ask your mom or your buddies. Create a little prototype, maybe just a concept image, post it on Instagram or somewhere, and see if total strangers are into it. You're getting free, priceless customer research before you sink your own time and money into it. Okay, we've covered a ton. Mindset, building credit, investing, earning more. Now, let's tie it all together with the one habit, the single most powerful habit that can literally make you a millionaire over time. And it all starts with this simple number, just $200 a month. That's it. We're not talking about some impossible amount here. For a lot of us, that's totally doable. But the magic isn't in the amount, it's doing it consistently. Because this is the magic of compounding. If you invest just that small amount every single month starting from a young age, the growth over the years, over decades, it becomes absolutely explosive. We're talking about potentially turning that simple habit into over $1 million by the time you retire. And why does this matter so much? It's not just about being rich. As Mark puts it, that money, it's your insurance policy. It's security. It's the peace of mind knowing that if something goes wrong, you're covered. And that right there is one of the greatest forms of freedom you can have. So we've seen the whole journey, from feeling totally lost with nothing to having a clear, actionable path to $1 million. The only question left is, what about you? What's your first step going to be?